know where you're coming from. Okay. Well, are we ready to start this show?
Yep, let's start.
Start it up. All right.
Yeah.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Rise Up. This is the place where we show you about how responsibility, integrity, service, and empathy look in action. And I like to say we're rising up out of our ignorance of what's going on in the world and the difference that we can make right here in our own community. I think you know me, I'm Mohan. We've got everyone in the studio today. We've got Naria Gorder, not Goiter, as I would like. I've been pronouncing it Goiter forever, and then she just corrected me last night. So thank you, Naria. We've got Ricky over here. Hello, and Iris. Hooray. Who's super excited for today's show? Yeah, I am. All right.
I love this show. It's so great.
Ricky loves this show, right? We're in good shape. Okay, so let's just get started with our international news.
Yes. All right, great. Thank you. So, for today's international news this week, wanted to share with you guys about what's going on in Belarus. Belarus has been showing a similar trend as a lot of the recent focus of the UN, which is police brutality. But on top of that, there's been a lot of issues in Belarus in terms of human rights abuses, the silencing of political opposition, and the lack of transparency with the government. So recently, the UN basically passed a resolution condemning both Belarus and Myanmar for their human rights abuses, the lack of clear and fair democracy, and for the kind of brutality they're measuring against the protesters who don't agree and don't want to see the same system that they have now. I just thought the situation in Belarus is just really, really interesting. They're considered by many people, including the UN, as the last dictatorship in Europe. And yeah, things are really difficult, but there's been a lot of protests recently in Belarus. So the people are, showing that they want to change, and hopefully we can get enough international support to help them live in a more free, democratic country.
Very good, very good. Thank you, Ricky. Thanks to the UN for always, sticking up for those who maybe aren't getting their rights, their human rights that, we should have. One question I have is like, from an outsider looking in, it seems like, okay, clearly we're saying these are the, I don't want to say bad guys, but, here's one group of people, another, where there's the government and the people feeling like they're not really having their rights. And I just wonder, like, what's the real way to, what's the reality happening there? And what's it really going to take to, because we can make a resolution.
Yeah.
But it has to be received, and it has to be, to have any effect, it really has to be taken on by the people there. So I guess I'll ask my question again, like, how hopeful are we? Is this, what's it really going to take for this to make a real difference there? In your experience, Ricky, in your illustrious...
My long years of experience in this area. Geez, I don't know. This might sound bad, but the current dictator is pretty old. We'll see how long he lasts. Maybe it's kind of my perspective on it. But I don't know. It's just the people there have been fighting for it seems like a very long time, because after Belarus left the Soviet Union, they became a democracy. It never really fully became a democracy, you know. And so I think my hope is that the young people there, uh, with education and understanding of the situation they're in, can really rally the people to make that change. So I would say my hope is in the young people that want to see a change. So I think the older generation, they're kind of like used to it. They're like, this is our life, you know. I don't really care. But the young people, they're like, you know, I don't want to live my life like this. I want, you know, full democracy. I want to be able to practice my freedoms. So I think the hope lies in the youth. So if we can support the youth in creating change there, I think that's where the change is going to happen.
Wow, it's really interesting. Yeah, I think that kind of trend can happen anywhere and everywhere. You know, wherever there's young people, there's a chance to kind of, I don't want to say reset. I think there's a lot we can learn and inherit and maybe improve upon. So I like that. Very hopeful, Ricky. Thanks for that very hopeful message there.
No problem.
How about anyone else here? Iris or Naria?
Well, I don't have a whole lot to share. I mean, I agree with Ricky that, yeah, really the young people will be probably the ones who can help things move forward. And yeah, unless the people and government and people, the guys who are in charge, like really embrace what the UN has to offer, nothing's going to really change so much. But yeah, Belarus, I've never really heard much about Belarus. It's not a country you hear about in Europe. So it's interesting to have that kind of surface and hear what's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and what you were saying about it's the young people, I also agree with that. I mean, everything from the anti-abortion laws in Poland to the bans on girls 18 or younger in France who are banned from wearing their hijabs in school or in public. All of those protests around those issues are coming from the young people. So it only makes sense that it's the young people who we have our hope in.
Awesome. Yeah, and you know, for all you young people out there, we're here for you. You know, and you know, we really do want to equip you with ways to make real social change because, you know, I mean, we did a synergy event. I think I mentioned this before, but the panelists, they were really asking us to run for office. You know, and because that process, you'll learn so much, and you'll be able to really be a contribution to your society and community. So. Great. Thank you, Ricky. Let's move it over to Iris. What's the cute stories we have today?
Yes, I have 3 stories for you all this week. The first one coming from Newark in New Jersey. A Newark-based violence prevention group seeks to bridge the gap between police and social services. So basically, in a virtual press conference in March, a national organization was created called Community-Based Public Safety Association, with supports from both mayors of LA and Newark. And this comes as a new strategy to prevent community-based violence, where outreach workers befriend its community members at risk of violence and build trust with them to diffuse arguments and give them access to therapeutic counseling to the community. So basically, this new program in communities all over the states has the potential to divert funds from the police departments to this organization. And by doing so, not only supports this much needed organization for these communities, but also eases the stress on the police force, allowing the police force to focus on their larger issues instead of the smaller, minor ones like the minor home disputes or mental health issues that community members are much better equipped at resolving. The next story I have is from Wisconsin. A retired Wisconsin fund leader collects his 2 millionth aluminum can. So this man, Gary Gates, 82 years old, despite being cozily retired as Wisconsin's public pension fund leader, he has been dumpster diving for all sorts of aluminum cans in the name of saving planet Earth and being an extreme environmentalist. Back in December, he collected his 2 millionth can, and with these cans that he collects around 700 to 900 cans twice a week, and makes money by selling these cans to a recycling facility. which makes around 500 a year from all of these cans that he collects. And with this money, he donates them to organizations him and his wife support, as well as donating an additional $40,000 to $50,000 out of pocket. So not only does Gates collect cans on his bike, but most of his wardrobe, fun fact, also comes from these dumpsters too, which really proves that he is indeed a true environmentalist. And the last story I have comes from Oklahoma, from a town called Miami. It's written Miami, but pronounced Miami, folks. And in this town, all the restaurants in the area are helping out the community to ease the effects of the pandemic. So basically, in this town, restaurants all over are paying it forward to its community in need with this original idea. One restaurant called the Dog House began an initiative to help out its members in need by creating a receipt wall. Basically, how it works is customers at a restaurant can prepay for a meal and put the receipt on the wall so someone in need can take the receipt from the wall and get a hot meal for free. And this initiative was so successful that it spread to restaurants all around the area and has helped countless individuals. This one restaurant helped around 600 people. And yes, it's just really showing up for their individuals and families in need, showing the power of a community when they step up to help their members. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you.
I love these stories so much. It's like you're able to kind of touch like a bigger civic level. Then you have like this kind of eccentric couple who's doing this project for years and years, and you have like the random just an act of kindness that anyone can do. Because last week we had like the Dunkin' Donuts, and this week we had the buying people's dinners, and because these are things that any of us can really do, or even start, or even suggest to wherever we go. Maybe can you tell me a little bit more about the Newark, though, the project there? We happen to live very close to. Ari and I live pretty close to Newark, and we have some friends that we work with out there for service. And I guess I'm just thinking about, like, is this the best way to do it? Like having communities step up and people like community leaders stepping up and offering to be a point of contact for their neighborhood. Like, is this something that's happening everywhere in the country, or is this like really unique new idea that these Newarkans came up with?
Yeah, so basically this association has been created pretty recently. It was announced in March. So yeah, last month. But it comes as a call to action based on the difficult relationship communities at risk of violence have with the police force. We all know the stories that are going on about everyone's difficult relationship with the police. It's not to say that all of them are bad. It's just that there's a history of misunderstanding there, So not only would these community leaders serve as a sort of liaison to the community and give them the help they need without involving a group that they distrust, but it would also ease the workload of the police officers who are on the front line, because they're not necessarily trained well in handling mental health related issues and things like that, or if they're trying to address a community dispute that has been going on for ages. It's hard to enter that conversation when you haven't been a part of it and you're supposed to make the justice call on it. That doesn't really make sense for either side, and it doesn't really benefit either side. So with having this community leadership group, it's not only a great way for the community to trust being helped, but it also gives a chance to felons, for example, coming out of prison recently, the opportunity to show that they can be given a second chance by helping these community members at risk and preventing them from choosing violence or being led into a violent situation. And so, yeah, basically the whole point of this association, again, is to help its communities be a liaison and a different option than the police force, and the police force is the opportunity to focus on the greater things that they're better at handling and focus on their strengths. And by diverging this responsibility to the community members, it can also diverge the funds from the police force to this organization, because it's a very needed organization. And they're also trying to make a point that social work is just as important or equally as important as police work too. And by doing that, by establishing that equality, they can also receive, match the same funds that the police force is receiving. And imagine how much help that can bring to communities nationally. Remember, this is a national program that has recently just begun, but it's making its biggest progress in places like Newark and LA. And they're already showing pretty great results. Newark is a bit spotty on their data, but LA has gotten it down. We can link the whole article in the chat so people can look at it and observe the data that has come out based on this community organization and all their good work. But so it definitely has its spot under the sun for sure, and has evidently done great things. But yes, again, it's a national thing, but it just recently began, so seeing change might take a while, but there's definitely hope for it to grow.
That's so cool. I didn't catch that it was a national organization. But again, they've started in Newark and LA. Are there other cities like this too? Or there's other cities that have a chapter or a local?
I'm not too sure. I was just looking at it now too, but it's also linked in that article. So again, it's called Community-Based Public Safety Association, and it's linked in the article, so you can click on it and it'll take you to their website, cbpscollective.org, and you can read up more about it there.
That's so cool. Because what that does, it kind of removes the politics out of it. Look, simply people just want to give back in some way. And I know my community, I know my neighborhood, let me help. And it's it's not about I know there's a lot of discussion about defunding the police, and it's like you can agree with that, but you also need the positive sort of action-oriented direction. So I think this is a exciting, hopeful thing to hear about. How about you guys, Ricky or Mario? Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think it's really great that there are other community members also getting involved and just helping the community instead of we often sometimes think, oh, the police will take care of it, or it's not my responsibility, and somebody else in the authoritative position that's their job. But by having more community members involved, I think that's incredibly helpful and beneficial, and it creates more of a sense of community. And I like how the police are also supporting this as well. And sorry, my voice is a little scratchy this morning, but I know I've heard of programs where they're trying to educate and train police to be prepared for any of those kind of situations, like you mentioned, dealing with mental health and other things. But honestly, the police are trained to really address worst case scenarios oftentimes. So that's kind of where their mindset is. So it's great that there are people who working in the social services that are able to address that, and because that's their area of specialty, so they know how to deal with it. So that's just what comes to mind, is that it's nice to see that there are more people getting involved in helping the community in that way and being able to use their skills and work and collaborate with the police.
Yep, kind of get those skills. Ricky?
Yeah, I agree. I've had a couple of experiences with the police, and none of them were very good. So I never had a very good perception of the police growing up, and especially because I had friends around me were also minorities who didn't like the police very much either. But I do agree that this kind of program is really important, because whether we feel good about the police or not, about what they do or what they're not doing, I think they have a very important role in a lot of communities in keeping them safe. And the issue is not, getting rid of them, which a lot of people have been proposing, but rather like integrating them in a better way and getting them the right training. And so I think having programs like these, where the community is talking with the police and they're discussing, what their issues are and what they need resolved, and where the police can help and where it might be better to have someone else be there, be in charge, and dealing with the issue. I think that's the direction I'd like to see police force going in. Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of like more preventative health, like things that it's like, it's not if there's a serious problem, you do need the police to get involved. But a lot of times it's like now you're saying, it doesn't really require that level of force often. And if that was more prevalent and there was an easy way to access that, it would be much better. So yes, thank you, police force, working hard out there. And thank you, social workers. We need you. And maybe we should, if there's a way we can help, I don't know, Iris, is there any way we can help anybody in this area?
I would check the links, the resources. So go to the link about the article describing this program and how it's helping the community. And then within that link is the link to the community website. And from there, you'll read different articles and like about their press release, as well as stats on how they've been doing. And I believe there's a how you can help or donate button.
Oh, there's a donate button. Great.
Yeah, I think I put the link in the chat. So let me know if you guys see that.
Yeah, let us know. Okay, great stories. Thank you, Iris. We're looking forward to each week. And now for our, I've decided what I'm going to call this talk that I give each week. It's going to be called a Hyojung talk. Now, for those of you who don't know what Hyojung means, it's like a cool Korean Chinese character there's two of them. It's Hyo, which means filial piety. So this kind of reverence and respect for your elders. And then Jong is heart. And so there's kind of like this kind of sensitivity to one another. And so this is kind of a major theme with YSP, Hyojung. So this is going to be called Hyojung Talk from now on. Okay, great. Today, my topic is mentorship, or I should say menteeship. So being someone who is very mentorable, someone that a mentor would love to really bequeath all of their knowledge and all of their all their attention to, if they could. And so so just to put it, I'll share a story, but the basic idea is, guys, if you want to be a good mentee, you got to be, of course, a good listener, someone who is driven, has clear values and principles that you're acting on, and a clear vision for your life. And that way, your mentor, they can see the kind of the fruits of their labor as they invest into you. But I want to share a story of kind of maybe, I don't want to call it drama, but there's a little bit of drama that kind of came up recently. In New Jersey, there's a lady we're working with now, Carol's her name. And, I really respect her a lot. I mean, she's done a lot of work, abroad and in the New Jersey area. And so really my intention is to get to know her more and basically get her mentorship. So a few weeks ago, she sent me an email kind of recommending that I reach out to this person who, you could say is that this like my counterpart into their organization. And I was, a little nervous to reach out to this person without having a warm connection. And so I kind of sat on it for a few weeks. Finally, I called her and was like trying to understand more about what I should do with this person. And, finally we just talked about it more openly. And I think I said a few things that maybe, I wouldn't say upset her, but kind of, I think, expressed kind of a lack of understanding about what service really is. I think I said something about doing service as a way to kind of raise awareness about an event we're doing. And I don't think I quite said it that way, but either way, she took it that way, which I can understand. And then the next day I get a long email kind of saying, no, service is, service is needs to be purely about having a heart to give. It's not about anything else. And maybe I do need to take some time before I reach out to this person. And so I'm feeling like, oh no, so I couldn't respond right away because I was super busy. But then finally I mustered some courage and I texted her and said that I read your message. I really appreciate your honesty with me. And I admit that I have quite a ways to go before I really have that genuine heart of service. Because, as she's also saying, it's not something you can talk about. It's something you have to just do. And to do it with a pure interest and intention about it. So, yeah, I think she felt kind of bad. I mean, she texted me back and she's like, yeah, let's, why don't we meet up? And so I was like, yes, thank you. It's a great chance to just kind of get on the same page again. And so, she offered like breakfast or coffee. I'm like, oh, okay, coffee's good. So I went over there. I'm driving there thinking, okay, what is my intention? Because, it's important to be clear about what you want. So you don't waste people's time. But, because of course mentors, they want to spend time with you. But if you're not clear about what you want, then it's harder to kind of keep it going. So, I arrive at the front door, she's really sweet. And, the dog kind of jumps on me immediately. And I'm like, oh, okay. And, I walk in and I sit down. There's like a nice wooden table with some cookies on the table, like the Chips Ahoy kind. And then there's another, those little breakfast biscuits you get at Costco, something. Oh, okay. Well, maybe she shops at Costco. That's nice. That's interesting. And, we proceeded to have a very nice chat. I thought it might go for an hour, but it turned to 2 hours and a half. And, without getting into the conversation too much, basically we're just sharing about different experiences we've had. And, during this time, I'm able to kind of peer into what kind of values that she has, and she can kind of see, what's important to me. And then we spent like the last half an hour just talking about business. Like, okay, basically I want to set up a chapter in New Jersey. And she's like, she's more than happy to help with that. I mean, she immediately started finding like different service opportunities. And now I'm getting, and she's just sending me all these great texts of, oh, here's opportunity here. We can do this, do that. And now I don't have this feeling of like her getting the wrong idea, because we had this conversation. I feel like we have this level of trust where, we do want to follow through with these projects, and we have some people, great young people to help out with it. So, my message here is simply, being a good mentee. And this is such a great skill to have throughout life. I just have countless of, elder figures in my life who've taught me everything that I know today. And again, be a good listener, but be clear on your values and what you want to do in life too. So they know how to help you exactly. And so with that is my message, my Hyojang talk this morning. Thank you. Any comment or feedback?
Well, I'm glad you got to talk to Carol. I worked with her on multiple occasions, and yeah, she's a really embracing motherly figure. And I know you always say like I'm the queen of service, but honestly, I haven't done a lot of service myself. So I have a long, more than you, but
that's very true. Yes,
but I still have a lot to learn and experience myself. So, and it's become a little more challenging having a baby to be able to get out there and do stuff. But But yeah, definitely that not having an ulterior motive. That was one thing that I learned as well through my experience. Because if you're really genuine and sincere of wanting to engage and serve and help someone, people feel that, and you also feel good about that too. So that's really important when you're doing service. And yeah, sometimes service, it seems like the activity might be a bit mundane, but so it's actually being able to be in fun company. That's what makes it enjoyable as well. So if you're with a group of friends helping to pick up trash or plant trees and stuff like that, you might not see like the impact right away, but just being able to be with friends and help and knowing that you're doing something to help the community, that's also very valuable too.
That's a great point, because a lot of times the things you can see, like you can address people's physical needs, but we have a lot of other needs too that are more social or interactive. And but yeah, I agree with the ulterior motives. I mean, that is, people can definitely sniff that out pretty quick. And so yeah, but sometimes if you're clear about what your intention is, then it's not like an ulterior motive. It's just like a straight up, like, this is my interest. And then maybe they can coach you around, okay, well, maybe this is a better way to get what you want, But if you're not clear about it, if you're not sure about it, it definitely can kind of bite you later.
Transparency, very good policy.
Transparency starts with cookies and coffee. That's where it starts.
I love how observant you were about the details of the cookies. I think you just really like cookies or something.
No, I think there must be a sale at Costco or something, because Saika has cookies over here, and it's kind of random. So I'm wondering, maybe there's a sale going on or something, I guess.
Oh man, I want more cookies.
Okay, you can have cookies.
Ugh.
You can.
Well, I'll buy them right now.
Yes, go ahead. Yeah. We'll hold your spot.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ricky. Oh, go ahead. Oh, I thought that was your comment.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I want to say. No, actually, though, I just want to add something, because I feel like people talk about the stuff you do, like during or when you're serving or when you're volunteering, but nobody talks about like what you're receiving. Because for me, like, the value of volunteering isn't in what you're giving; it's what you're receiving. Because I receive, or for one, I receive good work ethic. Because there's so many times where, like, you just have to kind of like push through, especially like those long volunteer days where, like, you're there for like a lunch and then you keep going after, like, just learning to like focus on your work. Like, I learned that from volunteering. I learned communication. There's so many times where, like, I've been at a food pantry, I've been helping serving food, and there's a lot of like older people there that are receiving the food that just like instill so much wisdom. And yeah, for me, I just found volunteering valuable in that sense. Like, not just in that I feel good about giving, but also the fact that I'm receiving a lot too.
So true. You might even get some cookies out of it.
Yeah. I should ask next time. Actually, no. Sometimes food pantries have like leftover that.
Oh my God.
That, yeah.
I always get so much food. They just have these things. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But they experience joy when you receive too, and so it's important.
Yeah.
All right, Iris, what do you think?
Yeah, I really liked your point on, to be a mentor, you need to be a good listener. I'm currently trying to spend this year being a better listener. I think we're in a time when it's the most ideal time to learn how to listen and be aware of how other people feel. And this awareness really brings you to the heart of what a person's issue is or what they need help with. And there's only so much you can assume about how much or what a person needs without directly asking them and really listening in on what their needs are, And yeah, it's so fundamental and basic, like, just listen. But it's kind of the hardest thing to do sometimes, So for me personally, that was a very valuable message for sure. And just listening and taking in what you're listening and using that to really deduce something valuable about the other person is incredibly important and easy to do once you really start practicing it.
That's such a good point about until you listen to someone, you don't really know what their needs are. So going into a service project without that understanding, doesn't always work out. So yeah, that's a great point. Great point. All right, let's go to Naria. What are our announcements today?
Well, just a reminder that next week, Saturday, on April 17th, is the International Synergy. So it is being hosted in Korea. That is a 13-hour difference. So when the event starts there, it's actually like 5 a.m. here. But it's a two-part program. So Synergy is the second half. It's part of like this whole big international youth assembly. So the first part is going to be the Youth and Student Rally of Hope, which starts at the wonderful hour of 3 a.m. on the East Coast, which is I think around 4 p.m. In Korea. But then the Synergy portion will start at 5 a.m. So that's where you can see the presentations that are given. And I was told by the international office that the International Synergy Committee will be choosing 4 of the 7 presenters, the regional presenters, who will have their presentation given in front of the judges and the audience. So if you want to participate, you can register. That page that Ricky just showed, that's on our website. So if you go to yspusa.org and go to events, also on the main page, you can see the Synergy like little icon, and click that to get to the registration page. And then that way you'll get the link to go to see the live stream. And they'll explain how to vote as audience members as well. Other thing is on the 24th, we will have a talk for Earth Day with Dr. Sung-Ho Lee about reforestation. And I don't know if you want me to announce this now, Milhan, but you did want to talk about the backstage opportunity for a Rise Up for our YSP members.
Definitely. Yeah, the idea was, I think the latest idea I have now is to put the link behind the membership wall on the website. So if you go there, you should be able to log in, and there'll be a link there you can click on to join that week's Rise Up. And if you're backstage, you get to like have a private chat with us during the Rise Up show. Get that? I mean, so you can like you can make jokes or whatever, make us laugh if you want, or ask questions, and we'll give you special priority. And if anything, we just want to hang out with you, so you're welcome to do that.
We might have to figure out a registration process because we have suddenly 20 people joining us. That might be a little challenging to handle.
Happy problem.
Okay, if you're good with it.
Let the world come. I might regret saying that, but okay. The Rally of Hope. Apparently there'll be some celebrities there from, I guess they're Korean though, but it should be fun. And for those on the West Coast, it's like super late at night instead of early in the morning. So I'm just trying to let you guys know it is possible to attend a 3 a.m. meeting or a gathering in 5 a.m. But register. I think register is great. Even if you're not sure if you can make it, just register, and you never know. You might just find yourself up late that night. Okay. Thank you, Nari, for those announcements. And I think we're going to leave you guys at this point. It'll be sad we'll miss you, but we'll see you next week and on Rise Up. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.